Stellar Drift Cantina smelled like old smoke and broken dreams. Li Wu sat at his usual corner table, nursing a glass of synthetic whiskey that tasted like recycled coolant. The amber liquid burned his throat, but it was cheap and helped him forget how empty his wallet was. Around him, the cantina buzzed with the usual crowd. Smugglers talked in hushed voices about their latest runs. Traders argued over cargo prices. Few off-duty security guards laughed too loudly at jokes that were not funny. The dim lighting hid the stains on the walls and the desperation in most faces. Wu checked his datapad again. 3 days since his last job. The cargo run to Vega Prime had paid just enough to fuel his ship and buy food for a week. His freighter, the Handbet, was old and needed repairs he could not afford. Every day he stayed docked at this station cost him credits he did not have. He was 28 years old and felt twice that age. 5 years of hauling cargo across the outer rim had taught him that the galaxy was not kind to small operators. Like him, the big shipping companies got the good contracts. People like him fought over scraps. The cantina doors hissed open. 2 figures walked in, and conversations stopped. Even in a place like this where strange beings were common, these 2 stood out. The first was tall and graceful, with skin that looked like polished blue crystal. Her silver hair flowed past her shoulders like liquid metal. She wore a simple gray jumpsuit that had seen better days. Her movements were careful and precise, like a dancer who had been hurt. The second was smaller but moved like a fighter. Her golden scales caught the dim light, and her amber eyes scanned the room like a predator looking for threats. Her black hair was cut short and practical. She wore the same gray jumpsuit as her companion, but it was torn at the shoulder. Both looked tired. Both looked scared. Wu watched them choose a table near the back wall. The tall one sat with her back to the room, trusting her friend to watch for danger. The shorter one kept her hand near something under her jacket. They ordered water and cheap protein bars. Most of the cantina went back to their business, but Wu noticed 3 men at the bar who kept staring at the newcomers. He recognized them. Local thugs who worked for whoever paid them. They made money from protection schemes and worse things. The leader was a big human named Dirk. He had scars on his face and hands that never quite. His 2 friends were smaller, but just as mean. They whispered among themselves and kept looking at the alien women. Wu had seen this before. New arrivals, especially attractive females, always drew attention from the wrong people. Usually he minded his own business. The galaxy was full of problems, and he had enough of his own. But something about the 2 aliens made him pause. Maybe it was how the tall one kept checking the exits. Maybe it was how the shorter one barely touched her food, staying ready to fight or run. They were not criminals or hustlers. They were refugees. Dirk stood up from the bar. His friends followed. They walked toward the back table with the slow confidence of predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. Well, Dirk said, his voice carrying across the quiet cantina. What do we have here? It's 2 lovely ladies, all alone in a dangerous place? The shorter alien woman looked up at him. Her amber eyes were calm, but Wu could see the tension in her shoulders. We want no trouble, she said in accented but clear standard. We will leave soon. Leave. Dirk laughed. But you just got here. This is my cantina, my station. You need to pay the guest fee. Guest fee. The tall alien woman turned in her chair. Her voice was softer than her friend's, musical almost. We were not told of any fee. Well, I'm telling you now. Dirk moved closer. 50 credits each. Call it insurance. This station can be dangerous for pretty things like you. The shorter alien's hand moved slightly toward her jacket. Friend put a gentle hand on her arm, a clear signal to wait. We do not have 50 credits, the tall one said. We have very little money. That's too bad. Dirk's grin turned nasty. But I'm sure we can work something out. There are other ways to pay. Cantina had gone completely quiet. Everyone was watching, but no one was moving to help. This was how it worked in places like this. You kept your head down and stayed out of trouble. Wu looked at his empty glass. He thought about his empty wallet and his ship that needed repairs. He thought about how hard life was for everyone in the Outer Rim. Thought about minding his own business. Then he looked at the 2 alien women again. The tall one was trying to stay calm, but her hands were shaking. The shorter one looked ready to fight, but she was outnumbered, and in a strange place. Something in Wu's chest tightened. Maybe it was the synthetic whiskey. Maybe it was 5 years of watching the galaxy grind good people down. Maybe it was just basic human decency. He stood up. "Hey, Dirk," he called across the cantina. His voice was casual, like he was talking to an old friend. "These ladies are with me." Dirk turned, surprised. "Woo, what are you talking about?" Woo! Walked over, keeping his hands visible but ready. He was not a big man, but he was not small either. More importantly, everyone knew he carried a blaster and knew how to use it. "I said they're with me," Wu repeated. He looked at the 2 aliens. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible." He turned back to Dirk. "Thanks for keeping them company." The tall alien woman caught on first. "Yes," she said, relief clear in her voice. "We were waiting for you." Dirk's eyes narrowed. "Since when do you travel with aliens?" "Wu, since today." Wu pulled out his credit chip. "Bartender, 3 drinks. Whatever the ladies want, and another whiskey for me." He was spending money he could not afford, but it was worth it to see the confusion on Dirk's face. The thug had expected an easy target. Instead, he found himself facing someone who was armed, sober, and apparently willing to cause trouble. "This isn't over," Dirk said, but he was already backing away. His friends followed, muttering threats they would not act on tonight. Wu sat down across from the 2 aliens. Up close, he could see they were even more tired than he had thought. The tall one's crystal blue skin was pale, and the shorter one had a small cut on her cheek that had not healed properly. "Thank you," the tall one said. "I am Kira. This is Yuna Li Wu," he said. "Just Wu is fine." He signaled the bartender. "You 2 look like you could use a real meal, not just protein bars." Yuna studied him with her amber eyes. "Why did you help us?" Wu thought about it. "'Cause someone should," he said finally. "And because I know what it's like to be far from home with nowhere to go." The drinks arrived. Kira ordered soup and bread. Yuna asked for meat and vegetables. Wu got another whiskey and wondered what he had gotten himself into. But as he watched the 2 aliens relax slightly, he decided he did not care. Sometimes doing the right thing was more important than doing the smart thing. Outside, through the cantina's dirty windows, the stars shone cold and distant. None of them knew that this simple act of kindness would change everything. None of them knew that offering a drink to strangers would lead to something much bigger than any of them could imagine. For now, it was enough to sit at a table with 2 beings who needed help, sharing a meal and pretending the galaxy was not as cruel as they all knew it to be. The soup arrived first. Steaming hot and smelling better than anything served in the Stellar Drift cantina had a right to smell. Kira wrapped her long fingers around the bowl, letting the warmth seep into her crystalline skin. She had not realized how cold she had been feeling until now. Yuna cut into her meat with precise movements. But Wu noticed she kept glancing at the cantina entrance. Her amber eyes tracked every person who walked in or out, even while eating. She stayed ready for trouble. "You 2 have been running for a while," Wu said. It was not a question. Kira looked at Yuna, who gave a small nod. 3 weeks, Kira said quietly. "Maybe longer. Time becomes strange when you are always moving." "What are you running from?" The question hung in the air. Wu could see them weighing their options. Tell the truth to a stranger who had helped them, or keep their secrets and risk losing his protection. "The Corvin Empire," Yuna said finally. Her voice was hard, like someone speaking about an old enemy. "They killed everyone else." Wu had heard of the Corvins. They were expanding their territory in this sector, taking over trade routes and forcing smaller governments to submit. People in the Outer Rim tried to avoid them. "Everyone else?" he asked. Kira set down her spoon. "We were part of a diplomatic mission. My people, the Villani, were negotiating a trade agreement with Yuna's people, the Ashkari. It was supposed to be a simple meeting. The Corvins wanted to control the trade routes between our worlds," Yuna continued. "They could not let us make our own deal. So they attacked. They destroyed our ship," Kira said. Her musical voice became very quiet. 57 people died, diplomats, guards, crew members. We only survived because we were in the emergency pod bay when the attack began." Felt something cold settle in his stomach. "How many Corvin ships?" A full battle group, Yuna said. 6 heavy cruisers and twice as many fighters. They did not come to negotiate. They came to kill. Our escape pod was damaged, Kira added. We drifted for 2 days before a salvage crew found us. We're not kind people, but they were not. Corvins? They brought us to a trading station in the Kepler system. We have been moving from station to station ever since, Yuna said. The Corvins have bounty hunters looking for us. I want to make sure no one tells the truth about what happened. Who understood now? These 2 were not just refugees. They were witnesses to a war crime. The Corvins had killed a diplomatic mission and wanted to cover it up. Why did they let you live? He asked. They did not let us live, Yuna said, her eyes flashing. We survived. There is a difference. What will you do now? Kira and Yuna exchanged glances again. We need to reach the neutral zone, Kira said. There are people there who will listen to our story, who will tell the galaxy what the Corvins did. That is 2 sectors away, Wu said. How are you planning? To get there, we do not know, Kira admitted. We have no ship, no credits for passage. We're hoping to find work on a trading vessel, but no one wants to hire aliens who might bring Corvan trouble, Wu finished. Yes, Wu stared into his whiskey glass. He thought about his empty wallet and his ship that needed repairs. He thought about the bounty hunters who would be looking for these 2. He thought about the smart thing to do. Then he thought about 57 people who had died in space, murdered, while trying to make peace between their worlds. I can take you, he said. Both aliens stared at him. What? Kira asked. I said I can take you to the neutral zone. My ship is not much, but it runs. I know routes that avoid the main shipping lanes. You do not understand, Yuna said. The Corvins have placed a bounty on us. Anyone who helps us will be hunted too. Then we will have to be careful. You barely know us, Kira said. Why would you risk your life for strangers? Wu had been asking himself the same question. Because what happened to your people was wrong. Because someone needs to tell the truth. Because ... double quotes, he paused, searching for words. Because if we do not help each other, what is the point of anything? Hush. Kira's blue skin seemed to glow slightly brighter. In her people's culture, this meant strong emotion. In my world, we have a saying. The light of one candle can drive away much darkness. I think you are such a candle, Li Wu. Pretty words, Yuna said, but her voice was softer now. But this is not a children's story. The Corvins will kill all of us if they find us. Then we will not let them find us, Wu said simply. A commotion near the cantina entrance interrupted. Them, 3 figures in dark clothing had entered, and they were asking questions. The bartender was shaking his head, but Wu could see the fear in his eyes. Bounty hunters, Yuna whispered. She had spotted them too. Back exit, Wu asked. Through the kitchen, Kira said. I noticed it when we came in. Left credits on the table, probably more than the meal cost, but he did not have time to count. Stay close to me. Walk normally. Do not run until I say. Wu moved first, heading toward the back of the cantina, like he was going to the restroom. Kira and Yuna followed, their movements casual but ready. The bounty hunters were showing pictures to customers near the front. Wu recognized the images on their datapads. These were definitely the right people looking for the wrong aliens. They reached the kitchen door. The cook, a grizzled human with burn scars on. His arms looked up from his grill. Health inspection, Wu said calmly. We need to check your back exit. The cook grunted and pointed toward a door marked with faded exit signs. He had worked in places like this long enough to know when not to ask questions. The back exit opened into a narrow alley that smelled like garbage and engine coolant. Wu led them left, toward the docking bays. Behind them, he could hear raised voices from the cantina. They found someone who saw us, Kira said. How far to your ship, Yuna asked. Docking bay 12. 2 levels down and half a kilometer through. The service tunnels. Can we make it? Wu checked his blaster and started moving faster. We are about to find out. The service tunnels were darker than the cantina, lit only by emergency strips that flickered with age. Their footsteps echoed off metal walls. Somewhere behind them, Wu, could hear the sound of boots on deck plates. "They are following us, Yuna," said Good. Wu replied. "That means they have not called for backup yet." "They think they can handle 2 aliens and a cargo hauler, can they?" Kira asked. Wu thought about his old ship and the weapons he had installed over the years. He thought about the modifications he had made to the engines and the tricks he had learned in 5 years of flying dangerous routes. "They are about to learn why small operators stay in business," he said. "We might not have the best ships, but we know how to run." They reached the docking bay as alarms began to sound. Security lights flashed red and automated voices announced a station-wide alert. Someone had called in the bounty hunters. The Hanbet sat in her berth like a faithful old dog waiting for her master. She was not pretty, but she was home. "Get aboard," Wu said. "I will handle the launch sequence." As Kira and Yuna ran up the loading ramp, Wu allowed himself a small smile. For the first time in years, he was doing something that mattered. For the first time in years, he was not just hauling cargo from one place to another, he was carrying hope. The ship's engines came online with a familiar hum. In the distance, he could see figures running toward the docking bay. The bounty hunters had found them, but they were too late. The Hanbit was already moving, backing out of her berth and turning toward the station exit. In minutes, they would be in open space. In minutes, the real journey would begin. The Hanbit shuddered as her engines reached full power. Wu sat in the pilot's seat, his hands moving across the controls with practiced ease. The old freighter was not fast, but she was reliable. Right now, reliable was all they needed. "Strap in," he called to Kira and Yuna. "This might get rough." Through the cockpit window, he could see the bounty hunters running across the docking bay. They were too late to stop the launch, but they were already talking into their communicators. That meant trouble was coming. The station's traffic control crackled over the radio. "Freighter Hanbit, you are departing without clearance. Turn to your berth immediately." "Sorry, Control," Wu said into his headset. "Emergency medical situation. You need to reach the nearest hospital. Negative, Hanbit. You will return to dock for inspection." Wu turned off the radio. He had bought them maybe 5 minutes before the station sent security ships after them. The Hanbit cleared the docking bay and moved into open space around the station. "How long until we can jump to hyperspace?" Kira asked. She had taken the navigator's seat and was looking at the star charts with quick, intelligent eyes. 3 minutes to clear the station's gravity well," Wu said. "Then another minute to charge the jump drive." "They will not let us leave," Yuna said. She stood behind Wu's chair, watching the scanner displays. "Look, 2 security patrol ships were moving to intercept them." They were small but fast, and they carried enough firepower to disable the Hanbut's engines. Wu had dealt with station security before. They would try to force him back to dock. "Can we outrun them?" Kira asked. "Not in a straight line," Wu said. "But this old girl has a few tricks." He pushed the engine controls forward. The Hanbit accelerated, but not toward the system edge where ships normally jump to hyperspace. Instead, Wu turned toward the asteroid belt that surrounded the station. "Are flying into the rocks," Yuna said. "That is dangerous." "More dangerous than letting them catch us," Wu replied. The first asteroid was the size of a small building. Wu flew the Hanbit around it, using the rock as cover from the patrol ships. The second asteroid was larger, with deep cracks that created narrow passages. "Freighter Hanbit, you are entering a restricted area," the patrol ships radioed. "Change course immediately." Wu did not answer. He was too busy threading the Hanbit through a gap between 2 spinning asteroids. The ship's hull scraped against rock, but they made it through. "What do you know these paths?" Kira asked, was gripping her seat as the ship rolled to avoid another asteroid. "I haul cargo through this system twice a month," Wu said. "You learn the shortcuts." The patrol ships were following, but they were having trouble in the tight spaces. Their pilots were trained for open space combat, not asteroid navigation. One of them scraped his wing against a rock and had to fall back. "We are not the only." "One's out here," Yuna said. She was watching the long-range scanners. 3 more ships, coming fast. Wu checked his displays. The new contacts were bigger than patrol ships. Military vessels, probably Corvin. The bounty hunters must have called for backup. "They were waiting for us," he said. "This was planned." The Corvins knew we would run, Kira said. They had been watching the station. The asteroid field was thinning out. Soon they would be in open space again, but they were still 2 minutes from the jump point. The Corvin ships were closing in fast. I need you both to do something for me, Wu said. Kira, there is a panel behind your seat marked shield control. Can you open it? Kira found the panel and pulled it open. Inside were dozens of wires and circuit boards. I see it. What do you need? There is a blue wire connected to a silver box. Can you disconnect it and connect it to the red box next to it? That will overload the shields, Kira said. Her people were naturally good with technology. The system will burn out, but it will give us triple power for about 10 minutes, Wu said. We need every advantage. Kira's fingers moved quickly among the wires. Done. Yuna, can you handle? Weapons. I am a warrior, Yuna said simply. Show me. Wu pointed to a station on the right side of the cockpit. Those controls operate the gun turrets. The red button fires. The stick aims. The computer will help you track targets, Yuna slid into the weapons seat. Her amber eyes studied the displays for a moment, then she nodded. I understand. The first Corvin ship opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space, missing the handbit by meters. Wu threw the ship into a spinning dive, using an asteroid for cover. Turn fire, he said. Yuna pressed the red button. The Han butts. Guns spoke, sending bright pulses of energy toward the Corvin vessel. Most of the shots missed, but one hit the enemy ship's shield. Good shooting, Wu said. Keep them busy. Ow. The second Corvin ship was trying to flank them. Wu rolled the handbit to the left, putting another asteroid between them and the enemy. The old freighter was not built for combat, but she was surprisingly agile for her size. Jump drive is almost ready, Kira reported. 30 seconds. No, Yuna said. They are trying to disable our engines. The third Corvin ship had moved ahead of them, blocking their path to the jump point. It was bigger than the others, probably a cruiser. Its weapons could tear the handbit apart. New plan. Wu said. Kira, plot a jump to the Vega system. Yuna, target their bridge. That ship is too big, Yuna said. Our guns will not hurt it. We are not trying to hurt it, Wu said. We are trying to blind it. The handbit raced toward the Corvin cruiser. To anyone watching, it looked like a suicide run. Small freighter charging a warship was madness. But Wu was not planning to ram them. At the last second, he rolled the ship and dove underneath the cruiser's hull. The big ship's sensors could not track them at such close range. Now, he said, YUNA fired everything they had at the cruiser's sensor array. The concentrated fire overloaded the enemy's shields and destroyed several scanner dishes. For a few precious seconds, the Corvin ship was blind. Ouch. Jump drive ready, Kira announced. Hold on, Wu said. The stars stretched into lines as the handbit jumped to hyperspace. The Corvin ships vanished behind them, left in normal space with no way to follow. For a moment, the cockpit was quiet except for the hum of the jump drive. Then Yuna started laughing. That was insane, she said. You flew us under their ship. It worked, Wu said. He was checking the ship's systems. The shields were burned out just as Kira had predicted. The hull showed scorch marks from near misses, but they were alive. Corvins will be angry, Kira said. They will send more ships. Let them, Wu said. We have a head start now. He looked at his two passengers. During the fight, he had seen them work together like a real crew. Kira had handled the technical problems without hesitation. Yuna had learned the weapon systems in minutes and used them effectively. You both did well, he said. I could not have escaped without you. You saved our lives, Kira said. It is we who should thank you. You're not safe yet, Yuna pointed. Out. The Corvins will track us. Then we stay ahead of them, Wu said. The neutral zone is still a long way off. The handbit flew through hyperspace, carrying its 3 passengers toward an uncertain future. Behind them, the Corvin Empire was mobilizing its forces. Ahead of them lay dangers they could not yet imagine. But for the first time since their diplomatic mission had been destroyed, Kira and Yuna felt something they had almost forgotten. Hope. They were not alone anymore. They had found someone willing to fight for them, someone who would not give up when things got difficult. They had found a leader. "What is our next destination?" Kira asked. Wu checked his star charts. "There is a supply station in the Altair system. We can refuel and repair the shields there. Is it safe?" "Nowhere is safe," Wu said, "but it is better than here." He increased power to the jump drive. The handbet raced through hyperspace, carrying 3 people who were beginning to realize that their meeting was more than just chance. It was the beginning of something much bigger than any of them had imagined. The Altair supply station floated in space like a metal flower, its docking arms reaching out to embrace visiting ships. The handbet approached slowly, her damaged shield sparking occasionally in the starlight. "They are scanning us," Kira said. From the navigator's seat, she had become comfortable with the ship's systems over the past 3 days. Standard security check. "Let them look," Wu said. "We are just another cargo hauler looking for supplies." The past 3 days had changed things between them. While the ship traveled through hyperspace, they had worked together to repair the damage from their escape. Kira's knowledge of electronics had helped fix circuits that Wu could never have managed alone. Yuna had proven surprisingly good at mechanical repairs, her warrior's discipline, making her patient with detailed work. They had also talked. Long conversations during the quiet hours, when the ship flew itself through the emptiness between stars. Wu had learned about Kira's homeworld, where crystal cities grew from the ground like living things. He had heard Yuna describe the desert, planet where her people trained from childhood to be warriors and protectors. In return, he had told them about Earth, about growing up in the crowded cities of Korea before coming to space to find his fortune. He had not found fortune, but he had found something else? Purpose. Docking Bay 7, the station controller said over the radio, "Welcome to Altair Station." The docking process went smoothly. The handbit settled into her berth with a soft thud. Wu shut down the engines and checked their credit balance. They had enough for fuel and basic supplies, but not much more. "I need to find work," he said. "Something to pay for the shield repairs." "We will help," Kira said. "This is not your responsibility," Wu replied. "You are passengers." Yuna made a sound. That might have been laughter. "We stopped being passengers when we fixed your ship." They left the handbit together and walked through the station's corridors. Altair Station was cleaner than the stellar drift, but it had the same mix of travelers and traders. The difference was that here, people minded their own business. The job board was in the main corridor, covered with postings for cargo runs and passenger transport. Most of the jobs were routine, but one caught Wu's attention. "Emergency medical supplies to Kepler 186F, he read aloud. "High pay, immediate departure required." "That is suspicious," Yuna said. "Why high pay for medical supplies?" "Maybe the colony is quarantined," Kira suggested. "Dangerous cargo pays more." Wu studied the posting. The pay was indeed high, enough to repair their shields and buy supplies for a month. But his instincts were warning him. Jobs that seemed too good were usually trouble. "We take it," he said finally. "We need the credits." The cargo was waiting in Bay 12. It's medical equipment, drugs, and emergency supplies. Everything looked legitimate, but the client wanted to remain anonymous. They paid in advance, which was unusual. "Something is wrong," Yuna said as they loaded the cargo. "This feels like a trap," maybe Wu said. "But people are sick on Kepler 186F. Even if this is dangerous, we have to help them." Kira stopped what she was doing and looked at him. "You would risk our lives for strangers again. Would you rather I left them to die?" "No," she said quietly. "That is why we follow you." The words hung in the air. Follow you. Not travel with you or work for you. Follow you. "I am not a leader," Wu said. "I am just a cargo hauler who tries to do the right thing." "That is what makes you a leader," Yuna said. "Anyone can give orders. Few people inspire others to be better than they are." They launched from Altair Station 6 hours later. The trip to Kepler 186F would take 2 days through hyperspace. Wu used the time to train his passengers in more ship operations. Kira learned to plot jump coordinates. Yuna practiced with the weapon systems until she could hit targets with deadly accuracy. "Why are you teaching us this?" Kira asked during one of their training sessions. Because a good crew needs to know everything about their ship, Wu said. Then he stopped, realizing what he had said. Double quotes. We know what you mean, Yuna said. The question is, do you? They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 186 system. The planet hung in space like a blue-green jewel, beautiful and peaceful. But something was wrong. No response to our hails, Kira said. The colony should be answering. Look at this, Yuna added. We pointed to the scanner. Display. 3 ships hiding behind the planet's moon. Wu studied the readings. The ships were too far away to identify, but they were big. Military class, pirates, he said. This was a setup. They used us to deliver medical supplies to a colony they attacked, Kira said. When we arrive, they will take the cargo and destroy us. Not if we take them first, Yuna said. Her amber eyes were bright with anticipation. Wu looked at his small cargo ship and thought about 3 military vessels. The smart thing was to run, drop the cargo in space and jump away before the pirates could catch them. But then he thought about the colony below. If people were really sick, they needed those medical supplies. The pirates had probably already attacked the planet. The colonists were trapped with no help coming. New plan, he said. You deliver the cargo. That is suicide, Kira said. What? If we are smarter than they are, Wu replied. Kira, can you modify our cargo containers to look like weapons? I think so. Why? Because pirates are greedy. If they think we are carrying something valuable, they will try to capture us instead of destroying us. And then we show them that a cargo hauler can fight back. The next hour was spent in preparation. Kira modified the cargo containers to give off energy signatures that looked like military hardware. Yuna prepared the ship's weapons and armed herself with a personal blaster. We've studied the tactical situation and planned their approach. They are moving to intercept, Yuna reported as they approached the planet. Right on schedule, Wu said. Remember, we are innocent traders who stumbled into something big. Act surprised. The lead pirate ship hailed them. Freighter, cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. This is a medical supply run, Wu replied, trying to sound nervous. We are just delivering to the colony. Change of plans. You are delivering to us. The pirates closed in, confident in their superior numbers, but they made the mistake of thinking the handbit was helpless. As the boarding ship approached, Wu suddenly accelerated and rolled underneath it. Now, he said, YUNA fired everything they had at the boarding ship's engines. The concentrated fire crippled the vessel, sending it spinning out of control. Other 2 pirate ships were too far away to help immediately. Landing coordinates locked, Kira announced. The handbit dove toward the planet's surface, racing the remaining pirate ships to the colony. It would be close, but they might make it. There, Yuna said, pointing to a cluster of buildings near a lake. The colony. Wu brought the ship down hard. Landing gear extended at the last second. They touched down in a cloud of dust, just as the pirate ships entered the atmosphere behind them. Unload the cargo, Wu said. Fast. They worked together like a real crew, moving the medical supplies with smooth efficiency. Colonists emerged from the buildings, grateful and amazed that help had arrived. How did you get through the blockade? The colony leader asked. We convinced them to let us pass, Wu said, but they will be back. The pirate ships were landing on the other side of the colony. Armed figures were moving toward them through the streets. We need to go, Yuna said. Cargo is delivered, Kira added. Our job is done. But Wu was looking at the colonists, families with children, old people who could barely walk. They had no defenses against the pirates. Our job is not done, he said. Get back to the ship. Prepare for takeoff. What are you planning? Yuna asked. Wu checked his blaster and started walking toward the approaching pirates. I am going to negotiate. Behind him, Kira and Yuna exchanged glances. Then, without being asked, they followed him. Where are you going? He asked. With our captain, Yuna said simply. The word hit Wu like a physical blow. Captain, they had called him captain. I never asked to be anyone's captain, he said. The best leaders never do, Kira replied. They walked together toward the pirates. Three people who had become something more than the sum of their parts. They'd become a crew. And for the first time in his life, Li Wu understood what it meant to be responsible for something bigger than himself. Word traveled fast in the Outer Rim. Within a week of the incident at Kepler 186F, stories began to spread through cantinas and trading posts. A human cargo hauler and his two alien crew members had faced down 3 pirate ships and won. They had delivered medical supplies to a besieged colony, and then convinced the pirates to leave peacefully. The truth was less dramatic than the stories, but still impressive. Wu had walked up to the pirate leader and offered to split the cargo. 50-50 if they would leave the colonists alone? When the pirate had laughed and raised his weapon, Yuna had put a blaster bolt through his shoulder before he could fire. The negotiation had gone much better after that. Now the handbit sat in dock at Meridian Station. Her hull patched and her shields repaired with the credits from the medical supply run. Wu had expected things to return to normal. He was wrong. "Captain," came a voice from behind him as he walked through the station corridor. Captain Wu. He turned to see a young human woman hurrying to catch up with him. She was small and dark-haired, with the kind of grease stains on her clothes that marked her as an engineer. "Not a captain," Wu said automatically. "Just a cargo hauler." "My name's Jin," the woman said, ignoring his protest. "I heard about what you did at Kepler 186F. I want to join your crew." "I do not have a crew," Wu replied. "I have 2 passengers." Jin looked skeptical. "Passengers who fight pirates and repair your ship?" Wu did not have a good answer for that. Over the past week, he had stopped thinking of Kira and Yuna as passengers. They shared the work, shared the danger, and shared the decisions. If they were not crew members, what were they? "Why do you want to work on a cargo hauler?" he asked Jin. "Because the big shipping companies do not care about people," she said. "They only care about profit. I was fired from Stellar Transport for refusing to install faulty parts that would have killed people, and you'd think I am different? You risked your life to deliver medicine to strangers," Jin said. "You fought pirates to protect colonists?" "Yes, I think you are different." Before Wu could answer, Kira and Yuna approached from the direction of the ship. They had been buying supplies and had overheard the conversation. "She is right," Kira said. "You are different." "We need an engineer," Yuna added, studying Jin with her warrior's eyes. "The ship is old. It needs someone who understands its systems." "I know every bolt and wire on a Meridian-class freighter," Jin said eagerly. "I can make her run better than the day she was built." Wu looked at the 3 women, a Villani tech specialist, an Ashkari warrior, and a human engineer. "This is not what I planned," he said. "Plans change," Kira said. "That is what makes life interesting." That evening they sat in the ship's small common room, sharing a meal and discussing the future. Jin had already proven her worth by fixing a power coupling that had been giving them trouble for months. "There is something you should know," Wu said. "We are not just hauling cargo anymore. Kira and Yuna are wanted by the Corvin Empire. Anyone who travels with us is in danger." "Good," Jin said. "I hate the Corvins. They destroyed my home colony. When I was a child..." "This is not a game," Yuna warned. "They will kill us if they catch us, and we do not let them catch us," Jin replied. Simple. The next morning brought another surprise. A tall human male was waiting by the ship when they returned from breakfast. He was older than Jin, with short gray hair and the bearing of a military man. "Are you Li Wu?" he asked. "Depends who is asking." "My name is Tay. I am a pilot. I heard you might need one." "I am the pilot," Wu said. "You are the captain," Tay corrected. "Good captain does not fly every mission himself. He delegates." Studied the older man. "What is your story?" 20 years in the Colonial Navy, Tay said. "A flight leader, decorated veteran, exemplary record. Till my unit was ordered to attack a civilian transport. You refused?" "We all refused. The transport was carrying refugees, including children. Our commander wanted us to destroy it, to prevent intelligence from reaching enemy hands. What happened? We were court-martialed and discharged," Tay said. "Ain't the other members of my unit scattered across the galaxy? I have been looking for something worth flying for ever since." Kira leaned forward. "What makes you think we are worth flying for?" "Because you fight for people who cannot fight for themselves," Tay said. "Because you do what is right, even when it is dangerous." That is what I swore to defend when I joined the Navy. That afternoon, Wu found himself with a crew of 5. It had happened without him deciding anything. People had simply started calling him captain and assuming he knew what he was doing. "This is getting out of hand," he told Kira privately. "Is it?" she asked. "Or is this what was meant to happen?" "I never wanted to be responsible for other people's lives." "You already are," Kira said. "The question is what you do with that responsibility." There. First job as a 5-person crew came 2 days later. Desperate message from a mining colony in the Beta Centauri system. Corvin forces had blockaded the system and were demanding tribute. The colonists had food for maybe 2 weeks. "It is obviously a trap," Eunice said when they discussed the mission. "The Corvins know we will come." "Of course it is a trap," Wu agreed. "But those people need help." "The blockade consists of at least 6 ships," Tay said, studying the intelligence reports. "Cannot fight our way through." "Then we do not fight," Jin said. "We sneak." He had been studying the technical specifications of Corvin sensors. Their equipment is designed to detect large ships. Single freighter, running silent, might slip through. Might, Yuna emphasized. "Better than certainly," Kira said. "If we do nothing, those colonists will starve." Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. At his crew, a week ago, he had been alone. He had 4 people willing to risk their lives based on his decisions. "We take the job," he said, "but we do it smart. Jin, I want you to modify our engines for silent running. Tay, plot a course through the asteroid field on the system's edge. Kira, see if you can hack their communication frequencies. Juna, prepare for trouble." "What about you?" Kira asked. "I am going to figure out how to get food to hungry people without getting us all killed." The plan they developed was complex and dangerous. The handbit would approach the system through the asteroid field, engines running at minimum power. They would dock with an automated mining platform and transfer their cargo to mining shuttles, which would then take the food to the colony's underground settlements. "It could work," Tay said after reviewing the plan. "If everything goes perfectly." "When does everything go perfectly?" Una asked. "Never," Wu admitted. "That is why we have backup plans." 3 days later, they were approaching the Beta Centauri system. The handbit moved like a ghost through the asteroid field, her engines barely warm enough to maintain life support. "Corvon Patrol, 2,000 kilometers off the starboard bow," Tay reported from the pilot's seat. "They have not seen us," Kira said from the sensor station. "But they are moving this way." "Mining platform dead ahead," Jin called from engineering. "Docking systems are automated." The next few minutes would determine whether their plan worked or whether they would end up as debris floating among the asteroids. "Docking clamps engaged," Tay said. "We are secure." "Transferring cargo now," Jin reported. "Mining shuttles are responding to remote commands." "Corvin Patrol is turning away," Kira announced. "They missed us." Wu allowed himself to breathe again. The first part of the plan had worked. The food was on its way to the hungry colonists, and the Corvins had no idea they were there. "Phase 2, he said. "Time to leave." But as the handbit detached from the mining platform, alarms began to sound. A new contact had appeared on their sensors, much closer than the patrol ships. "Corvin cruiser," Eunice said. "It just dropped out of hyperspace right on top of us." "They knew we were coming," Kira said. "Someone told them." Wu stared at the massive warship on their display. The Corvins had been waiting for them. This was not just a trap for his crew, it was a trap for him specifically. "All hands prepare for combat," he said. "It looks like our reputation has caught up with us. For better or worse, Li Wu was no longer just a cargo hauler. He was a captain. With a crew that believed in him and enemies who wanted him dead, the real test was about to begin." The Corvin cruiser Dominator hung in space like a steel mountain, its weapons trained on the tiny freighter hiding among the asteroids. Captain Vex of the Corvin Navy had been hunting Li Wu for months, following the trail of disrupted operations and rescued colonies. "Freighter handbit," came the transmission, cold and professional. "This is Captain Vex of the Corvin Imperial Navy. You are surrounded and outgunned." Surrender immediately, and your crew will be treated according to military law. Wu looked around his bridge. Tay sat at the pilotcontrols.com and ready. Kira monitored the sensors, her blue skin glowing with concentration. Yuna stood at the weapons station, her amber eyes bright with anticipation. Jin worked frantically at the engineering console, trying to squeeze more power from their damaged engines. Military law, Yuna said with disgust. That means execution. Not if we surrender, Kira said. They want us alive for interrogation. Then execution, Tay added. I know how the Corvins operate. Wu studied the tactical display. The Dominator was twice the size of their ship and carried enough firepower to vaporize them in seconds. But it was also inside the asteroid field, where its size worked against it. Captain Jin said from engineering, I have an idea, but you are not going to like it. Tell me. It can overload our reactor core, create a controlled explosion that will look like we were destroyed. But we will need to abandon ship before it blows. And go where? Yuna asked. We are in the middle of space, the mining platform, Tay said, understanding immediately. It has life support and emergency supplies. For how long? Wu asked. Maybe a week, Jin said. Long enough for a rescue ship to find us. If anyone comes looking, Kira pointed out. Wu considered their options. They could surrender and hope the Corvins kept their word about military law. They could fight and die in a blaze of glory. Or they could fake their deaths and hope someone would rescue them before they ran out of air. None of the choices were good. There's another option, he said slowly. We fight, but not the way they expect. Explain, Yuna said. The Corvins want to capture us to learn about our network. They think we are part of some organized resistance, but we are not. So we tell the truth, Wu said. We broadcast everything. The attack on the diplomatic mission that started. The colonies they have blockaded, people they have killed. We let the galaxy see what the Corvin Empire really is. Kira's eyes widened. A truth broadcast. But the signal would have to be very powerful to reach beyond this system. I can boost our communications array, Jin said. Use power from the HN reactor core. But it will burn out the entire system and leave us defenseless, Tay added. We are already defenseless, Wu said. At least this way, our deaths will mean something. Silence fell over the bridge. Each crew member considered what Wu was proposing. It was not a plan for survival. It was a plan to die with purpose. I am with you, Yuna said first. My people. Believe that a warrior's death has meaning only if it protects others. The galaxy needs to know the truth, Kira agreed. I joined this crew to fight for something worthwhile, Tay said. This qualifies. I can have the broadcast ready in 10 minutes, Jin said. But once we start, there is no going back. Wu nodded. Do it. The next 10 minutes were the longest. Oh, Wu's life. Jin rerouted power systems and modified their communications array while the Corvin cruiser moved closer. Captain Vex was growing impatient. You have 2 minutes to respond before we open fire. Almost ready, Jin said. I need 30 more seconds. Corvin fighters launching, Yuna reported. 6 ships moving to attack positions. They are not taking chances, Tay said. Ready, Jin announced, broadcasting on all frequencies, maximum power. Wu activated the communication system. His voice would now be transmitted across the galaxy, carried by relay stations and picked up by ships in dozens of systems. This is Captain Li Wu of the freighter Hanbit, he began. I am broadcasting from the Beta Centauri system, where Corvin forces are blockading a civilian colony. This is the truth about the Corvin Empire. He told the story of Kira and Yuna, the diplomatic mission that had been destroyed. He described the colonies under blockade, the people dying while the Corvins demanded tribute. He talked about the refugees he had met, the families torn apart by Corvin expansion. The Corvin Empire calls this military necessity, he said. I call it murder. The galaxy needs to know what is happening in the Outer Rim. Good people are dying while we look the other way. The broadcast lasted 5 minutes. When it ended there. Communications array sparked and died, overloaded by the power surge. Signal sent, Jin reported. Relay stations are picking it up. The message is spreading. Corvin fighters are attacking, Una said. The first energy beams lanced past their hull, close enough to make the ship shudder. Tay threw the hand bit into evasive maneuvers, using the asteroids for cover. Turn fire, Wu ordered. Una's response was immediate and accurate. One Corvin fighter exploded against an asteroid. Second took damage and fell back. We cannot keep this up, Tay said as more enemy fire burned past them. There are too many. We do not need to win, Wu said. We just need to survive long enough for our message to spread. But even as he spoke, he knew they were only delaying the inevitable. The Corvon cruiser was moving into position for a killing shot. Its main guns could destroy them with a single blast. Captain Kira said suddenly, I'm picking up new contacts. Ships dropping out of hyperspace. More Corvins? Una asked. No, Kira said, her voice filled with wonder. Colonial Navy, 3 cruisers and a squadron of fighters. On the display, new ships appeared. Clean white hulls with the blue star emblem of the Colonial Defense Force. They had arrived in response to Wu's broadcast. This is Admiral Chen of the Colonial Navy, came a new transmission. Corvin vessels, you are in violation of multiple interstellar treaties. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Captain Vex's response was predictable. This is a Corvin operation in Corvin space. You have no authority here. Actually, we do, Admiral Chen replied. The Beta Centauri system requested colonial protection 6 months ago. Your blockade is an act of war. The space battle that followed was brief but decisive. The Corvon cruiser was powerful, but it was outnumbered and outgunned. Captain Vex chose discretion over valor and ordered his fleet to retreat. Freighter Hanbet, Admiral Chen transmitted. Are you all right? We are fine, Wu replied. Thank you for the rescue. Thank you for the truth broadcast. It reached 17 systems before the Corvins could jam it. The galaxy is finally seeing what they really are. 3 hours later, the Hanbit was docked aboard the colonial cruiser Defiance. Wu and his crew sat in Admiral Chen's ready room, drinking real coffee and trying to process what had happened. Your broadcast has started something, the Admiral said. Colonies across the Outer Rim are requesting protection. The Senate is calling for investigations into Corvin activities. Will it make a difference? Wu asked. Change takes time, Admiral Chen said. But yes, I think it will. You have given people hope. It is worth more than you know. Later, as they returned to their ship, Jin asked the question they were all thinking. What do we do now? Wu looked at his crew. For people who had chosen to follow him, to risk their lives for strangers. They had started as passengers and refugees. Now they were something more. We keep flying, he said. There are still people who need help, still colonies under threat. The Corvins will not give up easily. Then neither will we, Una said. It will be dangerous, Wu warned. We have made powerful enemies today. We have also made powerful friends, Kira pointed out. And we have each other. As they prepared to leave the colonial ship, Admiral Chen pulled Wu aside. The offer stands, she said. The Colonial Navy could use someone like you. A real commission, a real ship, a real crew. Wu looked through the viewport at the Hanbit, old and battered, but still flying. Thank you, Admiral. But I already have a real ship and a real crew. What about rank? Don't you want to be a real captain? Wu smiled. I am already a real captain. My crew made me one. The next morning, the Hanbit left the colonial fleet and headed for the Outer Rim. Word was already spreading about their next mission, a mining colony under Corvin threat. Refugees who needed transport to safety, medical supplies to deliver to a plague-stricken world. As they jumped to hyperspace, Wu realized something had changed. He was no longer a cargo hauler who sometimes helped people. He was a captain whose job was to help people, and sometimes that meant hauling cargo. Next destination? Tay asked from the pilot's seat. Wherever we are needed, Wu replied, behind them. The story of their broadcast was spreading across the galaxy. Colonies were standing up to Corvin demands. The Colonial Navy was investigating war crimes. Change was coming to the Outer Rim. It had all started with a simple offer of a drink. 2 Two strangers in a cantina. Now, those same two aliens sat on his bridge, calling him captain and following him into danger because they believed in what he represented: kindness, courage, the idea that people should help each other regardless of species or personal cost. Li Wu had never wanted to be a leader, but the galaxy had needed one, and somehow he had become what it needed. Li Wu had never wanted to be a leader, but the galaxy had needed one, and somehow he had become what it needed. The handbit flew on through hyperspace, carrying 5 people who had found their purpose in helping others. Behind them, they left hope. Ahead of them lay new challenges and new opportunities to make a difference. All because a cargo hauler had once offered a drink to 2 strangers who needed help. Sometimes that was how heroes were born.